Okay, I think we're live. Let's go.
Yay.
Doc, you can hear and see me okay?
Yes, can you hear and see me?
Yep. It's a little bit of a
All right.
delay, but we're just gonna make it work tonight. So
Okay.
I'm so excited because we're talking. I was supposed to be cueing in the picture, but I don't know if you can see it yet. There we go, the picture. We're talking all things Egypt today. We're talking about our African voyage to Egypt. So Doc, should we just go ahead and start with the slides?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I see the slides. All right, so we are going to talk about our origin story for picking Egypt as a location for us to go to in December 12th to 20th of 2025. And so this is an opportunity for us to share again our intention, our background, and then people to ask questions. So people are on here right now, Dr. Shonda. Can people see us?
Yes, people can see us.
Okay. Okay.
Next slide.
I think there's, huh?
Next slide.
Yes, next slide.
Okay.
All right. So if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is one of my favorite African proverbs because it really highlights the importance of doing things in community. That even for Dr. Shonda and I, we have collaborated on lots of projects because we know we can go much further along when we can advise and support and collaborate with each other. The same thing then for travel, right? Literally, you can go further when you're in community. And so that's the African way that we are trying to further through this trip to Egypt. The next slide.
And last time we did this, Doc, you said something so profound. You said going to Africa alone is not African. Is that later in the slides or was that slide?
It might have been that slide. See, you know the talk already. You know the talk already. But yeah, just to even think about when you're traveling, that especially to the African continent, I feel like it is a psychological imperative for you to travel with other people and recognizing that this is how African people conceptualize their worldview. We don't do things in isolation, and it's collective and community in nature. And so even making a trip then to Egypt to go to Africa, right, that we have to do this together as well. Um, and so we just want to give you a little bit of trip intention and overview details about the accommodations and transportation and the booking process. The next slide. All right, so I'm Dr. Afia, if people don't know. I'm a clinical psychologist and actually got my PhD 15 years ago. I've been in the game for a while. I went to Howard University to really understand Black mental health and understanding that relationship that African people have with the African diaspora. And this has been central to my healthcare work and research.
And I'm Dr. Shonda. I'm also a licensed clinical psychologist with a strong passion for individuals of the African diaspora. Yeah, so that's just me in a nutshell.
All right.
Doc,
Why go to
are you going to
Africa?
Africa?
So there's so many different scholars that have made strong arguments about why African people need to go to Africa. So let's start with Martin Delany. I'm not sure how many people have heard of Martin Delany, but he actually was that person who said, Africa for the African. Sometimes we associate that with Marcus Garvey, but it was actually Martin Delany. His grandparents were Mandinka, and he really was conceiving of this Back to Africa movement that was connected to finding a place on the African continent that our ancestors could go back to. So this is like in the 1800s to find a place. And so he had lots of books about this immigration process and actually held conventions for us to figure out where to go to survey land on the African continent. That again, he was making an argument that that is our home and we need to go back and visit this place. And then we all hopefully know who the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey is, who had the Universal Negro Improvement Association, had the Black Star Line, had the Negro World newspaper. This was a way for African people all throughout the globe to have a connection, and really recognizing, even in this quote, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. So we have to ground ourselves in African languages, African culture, and specifically African land. So of course, I identify as Black. It's great to be Black, but Black does not have a language. Black does not have a location. And so for us to really identify with Africa, as there are over 2,000 languages spoken there, there are so many different cultures, family systems, and structures that we need to revisit on the African continent. All right, maybe people know about Amy Ashford Garvey. There was a really great book by Toni Martin that goes through her life, but this is Marcus Garvey's first wife, Amy Ashwood. And so she did so much to unite people across the African diaspora, led different conferences, joined different Pan-African organizations. And just to be clear what Pan-Africanism is the unification and liberation of African people throughout the globe. And so she was able to trace back her lineage to Ghana. She was from Jamaica, and a lot of Jamaicans actually come from Ghana. And when she went to Ghana and found where her grandmother was from, she decided to change her name from Amy to Akosua. She got that day name, meaning the day of the week that she was born. There's a Ghanaian name associated with that. And after she changed her name and went to Africa that first time, she never wore European clothes again. She only wore African clothes. So it altered her identity. She was able to reconnect to her culture, her lineage, and it transformed her into a new person. Next slide.
Doc, I don't know. I might have to change my name when I go out there.
All right, this is my main man, Omowale, Malcolm X. So I don't know if people recognize how many different African countries that Malcolm X went to. This is an image of him on the African continent. He's not in his regular clothes here, right? But wearing African garb, this grand boo-boo. But he got the name Omowale when he went to Nigeria, which means the son who has come home. And so Malcolm X often is quoted saying, well, we left our minds in Africa, so we got to go back. We got to go back to Africa and get it back. And so he made several pilgrimages to Africa. We think, oh yeah, he went to Mecca, but he also went all over the African continent. He visited Egypt, Sudan, Nigeria, and Ghana in 1959. In 1964, he met officials, gave interviews, and spoke on the radio and television in Egypt, Ethiopia, Tanganyika, Nigeria, Ghana, Guinea, Sudan, Senegal, Liberia, Algeria, and Morocco. We don't recognize, again, that Malcolm X made these pilgrimages. And when he came back to the US, he wanted to create more African diaspora organizations and recognizing the role that African Americans play in guiding and reconnecting to our African roots. The next slide. And even thinking about African roots, we have to recognize the film or the TV miniseries Roots was a major motivating factor for African people to understand their African lineage. I don't know who's seen Roots, the original or the second one, but I loved the scenes that were on the African continent in terms of birthing rituals, rites of passage programs, and for us to be able to trace back after this Mayafa, this great destruction that's beyond human comprehension of what happened to our ancestors. And so even as the Black middle class increased within the United States, there was more disposable income for people to travel back to Africa. And also even thinking about the independence of African countries factoring in, they wanted us to come home. Even in Ghana, it's like they have these big campaigns, come home, we want you to come back. And this led to the development of heritage tours, specifically visiting slave dungeons where our ancestors were captive, and to be able to do rituals in that space to reconnect us. Oftentimes on slave dungeons, there's something called the door of no return. This was the last door where enslaved Africans would exit to go into the boats. And so there's oftentimes rituals then at that door, so the door of return, so that we can come back for what we have forgotten. And so there's research coming out on how do African Americans feel once they've gone to Africa. Sometimes they feel more African, sometimes they feel angry, sometimes they feel in between worlds. But that's the beauty of traveling to Africa with psychologists, that you get to process all of those feelings that can come up, right, in terms of how we make meaning of the world. The next slide. And there are so many different tours that exist right now related to traveling to the African continent. One of the first times I ever went to Africa was with Dr. Mawia Cambone. She is one of the former presidents of the Association of Black Psychologists. And she has something called the Sankofa Journey that she's been doing for over 20 years. She even brought the entire Association of Black Psychologists organization to Ghana to be able to have their international conference. And so she, again, is making an argument that it is a psychological imperative for you to have a healthy Black mind, that you need to go to Africa. And again, the benefits of traveling with a psychologist to process and make sense of what is going on there. The next slide. I think the next one, because okay. And so overall, we do have intentions of doing something called wellness tourism. So really thinking about the health benefits of traveling to the African continent and what it does psychologically or spiritually, even physically, for our bodies and overall well-being. The next slide. Yeah, and so just to be clear, that we're picking Egypt in particular because this is probably the most well-documented African civilization. We know that the flooding of the Nile being the longest river in the entire world, the flooding of the Nile allowed for so much agriculture, which allowed people to be able to think it and go very deeply into the mind. We know that psychology has an origin, even specifically in Egypt. The original root word being saku, meaning the soul or the spirit. So essentially, psychology is the study of the soul or the spirit. And we have to recognize these deep African roots for how we literally think, feel, and behave. So, yeah.
And which is something that we're getting back to, like us as psychologists. I think, you know, us really leading this charge of like getting back to the study of the soul, right? Going back to our roots, going back to Africa, because like we said, we can't be psychologists if we're neglecting the soul, if we're neglecting like how the soul fits into our overall mental health. And when we go through school and like, you know, formal universities or what have you, who are more right now, they're more like targeting that medical model and dismissing the soul and the spirit and things of that nature. As African people, we just can't do that. As people in general, we shouldn't, but as African people, you know, it's very much embedded in our culture.
Ashe.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. Okay, is this my yes? Okay, so amazing job, Doc. Listen, every time I hear you, it's just like, yes, I always learn new information when you're talking, because you literally just spit so many gems, drop so many gems and spit fire. So I'm here for it, and I can't wait to travel with you. So we are literally going to be in Egypt, in Africa, for 9 days, y'all. I cannot wait for this adventure. If this is your first time in Africa, why not do it with two psychologists? Not just two psychologists, period, but two Black psychologists. Only 2 to 4% of psychologists in America are Black, and 2 of them are going to Africa, and you might as well just come along with us. So the group size, we're keeping it nice and intimate, up to 20 individuals. And that's simply because, you know, we want to make it so that everybody can be fully immersed in this experience. And also, you know, we want it to be, again, intimate. We're going to be having group discussions. We're going to be, again, like, you know, discussing emotionally what that meant for us to experience certain things that we might experience while on the continent, because it is very emotional. We'll be in 3 different cities. We'll be having 13 different activities. So you guys, I'm a heel girly, but I am definitely bringing my sneakers for this trip, right? So we are going to be, you know, doing a whole lot of things that I'm going to get into to, and very much we'll be having a team with us. So we're going to be having a local experienced guide, a host, as well as our own African-centered scholars who will be coming with us to make sure that the information that we are learning is rooted in African truth and not just the whitewashing of Egyptian culture. In terms of, okay, our trip activity. So we are going to be going to see pyramids. We cannot go to Egypt without seeing the pyramids, y'all. So we will literally be right in front of the pyramids, riding on camels, doing all the things. If you know, Dr. Afia and I, you know, we're going to have a photographer. We can't go out there and not have a photographer. So we will be doing a photo shoot by the pyramids while riding the camels, like where it's going to be lit. We're going to do archaeological tours, museum visits, overnight sailing of the Nile. And so, Doc, you were explaining how the Nile River is like the longest river, like one of the longest rivers. Okay, say that again.
River in the world.
Okay. And we're gonna be sailing that overnight. So it's gonna be a very intense experience, and I can't wait to have it. The Valley of the Kings tour, again, camel riding, Egyptian museum tours, a Nubian dinner with that's hosted by an Egyptian family in the area, a temple tour, temple visits, lots of different things that we'll be engaging in. What this trip includes, so in your price that you'll be paying, it will include your hotel stays. So we'll be staying at 4-star hotels, a local guide throughout the trip, and all city transfers. So throughout each city, again, we'll be having to travel, whether that's by way of train, the sleeper trains, planes, right? So all of that will be included in your overall fee that you will pay. What's not included is the international flight. So you coming from the US to Africa, that is not included in your overall trip fee. Some food and some alcohol, even though most of your meals are covered. I believe it was like 2 dinners and a couple of lunches that aren't covered. Visas, travel insurance, that's not usually covered on any sort of group trip. So again, that is your responsibility. Again, all white outfit for our photo shoot. Please, y'all, do not forget, because you don't want to be left out of this. Look at this, just Black excellence and all white. Like, you don't want to be left out. Doc, I'll let you take this one.
Okay, so as part of this process, we are going to have workshops, particularly focused on Mayat. So Mayat is an Egyptian or Kemetic deity that focuses on truth, balance, harmony, justice, all of these really critical core pieces of mental health. And so I'll be leading a workshop about how to apply these ancient African rituals and concepts to current mental health, whether addressing your own mental health or those around you. And so we are hoping to get some continuing education credits for therapists that travel along with us for those workshops as well.
Okay, so here's a breakdown of the day today. So day 1, you will be coming into Egypt around 6 o'clock. We will be hosting our dinner, which will be a mixer, just for everyone to get to know one another. Day 2, we'll be jumping right into the activities. So we will be exploring different pyramids. And Doc, I cannot wait to see those pyramids, like just to witness those like monumental pyramids that our ancestors built. Like, it's just going to be such a intense moment. The Sphinx visit, Egyptian museum tours, and short transfers between sites. Again, transfers within the continent are covered within that overall fee that you'll be paying to come on the trip. Day 3, starting with breakfast, and then we'll be going into an archaeological tour, a museum visit, and then a transfer on the sleeper train. So the sleeper train will be taking us on a 12-hour journey to Aswan. And while we're on the train, one of our meals will be provided, which will be dinner. But yeah, so 12-hour train ride. One thing Dr. Afia pointed out, like to not overpack. So pack enough, but pack to where you're not uncomfortable traveling from city to city, because again, we'll be going to 3 different cities. Day 4, breakfast, we'll be having our Nubian dinner party with an Egyptian family. That is another transfer that will be included there. So 30 minutes each way between the Nubian village. Day 5, we'll be having a leisure day along the Nile or exploring the city. Day 6, activities include overnight sailing adventure. So again, we'll be on that Nile River that just houses so much history, and so many historical things happened on the Nile River. So we cannot wait to be sailing away overnight for 20 hours. So it is going to be a 20-hour sail. And again, lunch and dinner will be provided on the Felucca, which is the boat that we'll all be traveling on together. The next morning, we'll still be on the Felucca. So again, traveling on the Nile, they'll make breakfast for us, and we'll eat breakfast and head to the next city. The following day, we'll be doing the Valley of the Kings tour. Lunch, again, another travel to the city. And I just want to reiterate and keep in mind, so Dr. Afia and I will be there hosting live discussions, workshops, things of that nature. We also have a few African scholars that are coming with us to again, process some of the information that we're learning about, process some of the landmarks that we'll be learning about from that African-centered perspective. We'll also be providing a book list, right? So it's no fun. Again, I like to say this trip is for the urban intellectual. So we'll be providing you a book list prior to coming. We're going to read that book list. We'll have group discussions. And so it's going to be lit. We'll be doing that all throughout the trip. Day 9, that is our departure. So we'll be heading back to the States, and we're excited about it. So current Egyptian facts. So the capital of the city is Cairo. The population is 102.3 million. The currency is the Egyptian pound. The time zone, the Eastern European time. The language is modern standard Arabic. The emergency number is 122, and the outlet is type C/F. Regarding our luggage, so again, 50 pounds or less, as it is with like standard luggage, as well as one carry-on and one personal item. Our packing list. So, Doc, am I missing a slide?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. All right. As far as the packing list, so again, we want to make sure that we have active shoes, because we are going to be doing a lot of like hiking and going to different areas that's will require a lot of walking. Conservative clothing. So again, culturally, we want to make sure that we're respecting other people's culture. So it's not a lot of leg out, it's not a lot of chest, it's not bare arms out. So we want to make sure that we remain covered while in this area. Bring a fleece or a sweater, because the temperature can drop in the desert, so make sure you have something to keep you warm. Protect your tummy, so pick up some Pepto-Bismol, whatever you need to make sure that everything stays settled. Bring your swimsuit. So Egypt is known for having lovely beaches and pools and things of that nature, so make sure you're bringing that so you can partake in that. Sunblock, so it's really important to protect your skin. Hat and sunglasses, your day pack for carrying cameras, snacks, sunscreen, water, hand sanitizer. Need we say more? Packing cubes. So Doc said that, when she's packing, she uses those and they helped her to stay more compact. I've never used packing cubes, but I am going to invest in them for this specific trip. Bug spray, reusable water bottles, portable chargers, travel adapters, towels for quick dry is our go-to. Quick dry is our go-to. So bring towels, earplugs. So we will be, again, traveling on public transportation. And so some of those travel experiences might be overnight, right? So overnight sailing, overnight sleeper train, and we still got to sleep. So if you're a person that you require like dead quiet in order to sleep, we're going to encourage you to bring your earplugs. Laundry soap, local currency, and make sure to call your bank, because they will put a halt to your finances if they're not aware that you are out of the country. Doc, you want to take this one?
Okay, so we have to again recognize that the Egypt of our ancestors is not the Egypt of today. And so recognizing that about 90% of the country is Muslim. And so being respectful of the conservative nature of dress and clothing and public affection, head coverage, especially if we're entering a mosque.
Awesome.
Even thinking about things like leaving a little bit of food on your plate suggests that you like just navigating like the rules, or pointing is rude, um, that you will have to negotiate as you shop. People might say to swim in the Nile, but to be mindful that there is a lot of exposure to bacteria or infections, and just being mindful of your luggage. So as cute as we want to be in Egypt, to pack efficiently, and not overdo.
Exactly. Okay, so going into some frequently asked questions, where can I find information on travel safety?
Yeah,
So
so you,
we
as would say, you all know this government is changing day to day. So it's best to stay up to date by looking at the U.S. Department of State to see what the rules are, to be mindful that there's big wealth gaps between people in the U.S. and African countries. So to be mindful of guarding your materials that you're bringing around with you, or to follow the same safety rules as these are cities, and to have caution.
Is the water safe to drink?
No.
Short answer, short and sweet. Because that's obvious, right? When we go to different countries, we don't really drink the water. What is
Yeah.
transportation like?
Well, considering we're going to a major city, there are buses, there are trains, there are even Ubers. And this is what can be used for your airport travel that can be arranged in advance, and have someone pick you up from the airport to take you to the hotel.
Do I need vaccines?
Yeah. So we'll stay up to date by looking at we'll of course inform you, but we'll be staying up to date in what is required. But a lot of them are routine vaccines related to hepatitis A and B, typhoid, and coronavirus. So COVID-19 vaccines.
What about Wi-Fi?
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's still talking about vaccines, but there's Wi-Fi there, especially at the hotels. But to be mindful, when we're traveling, we might not have it.
And how do we sign up?
Oh, well, we have a whole website that gives details about the trip, and it is through this website that you can make your initial down payment. Yeah, you tell them, Dr. Shonda.
Yes, so you can make your down payment. The entire trip is not due right now, but your down payment is in order to secure your spot. And for right now only, we have just a few spots left that qualify for that early bird price. And so the early bird price right now is $34.99. And again, that includes your hotel, most of your meals, traveling with 2 licensed clinical Black psychologists, as well as like our workshops and things of that nature, as well as our photo shoot. So you won't be paying anything for the photo shoot, but all of that is $34.99 as of now. After we get a few more signups, then we will have it'll go back up to about, I want to say 36. Doc, is that okay? Yeah, $36.99. So yeah, so again, there are multiple African voyage trips out there. I priced some at around 5,000, some at about 9 to 10,000, and ours is on the more affordable side because we wanted to be able to attract individuals who it might be their first time going, but they may not have always had the budget, right? So that's who we're targeting. And also we want to be able to curate a meaningful experience for you. In terms of payment plan, so again, you do not have to pay the entire $34.99 today. Only the deposit is due. And when you sign up, again, that early bird price, but if you let us know, we can also send you a discount code if you sign up tonight. So shoot us a message and we'll send you a discount code so you can sign up. After that, then you'll have a payment plan for, I want to say, is it like every couple of months, Doc, where it's like so like every couple of months, then you'll pay like increments until the entire balance is paid off. Or you can go with Affirm. So Affirm does offer smaller payments if you have a tighter budget, but you still want to come. That's, I want to say, about starting at $200 a month with Affirm. So that's just another option that people utilize. And again, like it's Africa, so it's all the way in December. We want you to be able to come. We know that a lot of people's budget is tight, but also we have time. We want you to be able to have the time to be able to save and to do what you got to do to come with this. Any questions? Go ahead and put your questions in the comment section. Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look at the comments the whole time. Now I see that people
Yeah, I
asking some
know.
All right, Dramamine. Yes, bring the Dramamine. I don't know if people are motion sick, but just to be mindful that things can get bumpy. And same airport for arrival and departure. Yes, so Cairo will be flying in and out of that location.
Awesome. And does the travel company have a list of preferred private travel companies versus Uber? So in terms of like traveling from the airport to the hotel, you can actually book that once you book your travel. So like after paying that down payment, you can add on their travel people, their travel company, in order to take you to the hotel. Outside of that, then travel will be pretty much up to us. We will have to ask if they have a specific list of preferred private travel companies. That's not something that we asked yet, but we can get that information for you. Awesome. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, yeah, I guess we're excited to have y'all.
Yeah, we are. This is going to be life-changing. I know that for me, Egypt has been on my bucket list for the past 20, 30 years. And so this is definitely a dream come true. And so I'm glad to share with other people to be able to have this once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yes, I'm excited about it too, Doc. I can't wait to learn more information about Egypt, gaining knowledge from our book list that we'll be providing. Like it's going to be an experience. Really.
Yeah, this is my current read, the Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Anthony Browder. So this is my current read. I have my bookmark in there. So hopefully I finish this week. Move on to my next one.
Do they have that in audiobooks?
Maybe.
I might have to look into that.
Okay, there's a question. How are you pairing roommates? That's a great question. We definitely study personality. So we probably will have some sort of questionnaire to see if people are early morning risers or like to stay up late, if they like fitness, if they want to go party. So I think we'll have some sort of assessment involved. Or you could bring a friend, so that guarantees that you can share a room, or a family member. So even yesterday I was speaking to someone who a male physician saying he wants to bring his wife. So obviously they would be roommates. But if you bring someone, that automatically makes you roommates.
Yes. Love that. Okay. Amazing questions. Awesome.
You can get the book list early, sign up, and we'll send it to you ASAP. Right? We will share that book list so you can get ready.
I can't see who's commenting from LinkedIn. I can't see if they already signed up.
Oh, okay. We can't tell if you already signed up. If you already signed up, then we'll get it to you. We will have our own. For the people who signed up, we are planning to meet in April to get ourselves getting ready for this trip and preparation. So we can't, it just says LinkedIn, so we don't know who's saying.
I know, it just says LinkedIn. I wish. Let me see. And my comments aren't loading on LinkedIn yet. That's okay. Well, we'll look at it and get back to you. We'll look at it and get back to you. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Okay. Yes. Hi.
Hey, Dr. Dominique. Can't wait to have you. So yeah, Dr. Dominic, you're going to get your book list because you're signed up. So we can't wait to have you. Also, I think that's all the questions. All right. So guys, if y'all have any other questions, feel free to contact us whether it's in the comments or via DM. We'll be doing more of these live interactions and Q&As. So yeah, so we're excited. I'm gonna close out with our photo that I had. Let me bring that photo up.
Woo.
Period. All right, Doc. Thanks again for joining.
Thanks for collaborating.
Yes. All right, talk soon.
All right, good night. Bye.